Imagine this. You just finished a delicious meal in an American restaurant. The food was perfect. You had a great time and you paid the bill. But then you look at your bank account the next day and you realize you accidentally paid $20 extra for absolutely nothing.
It happens to tourists and English learners every single day. And the worst part is the restaurant did not steal from you. You gave them the money because you did not understand one tricky word on a piece of paper.
I know this is true because I made this exact mistake on my first trip to New York. I lost $20 because I was too shy and too confused to ask a simple question.
Well, today, we are going to make sure that never happens to our viewers. Welcome back to the English Vision podcast. I'm your host, John, and I'm here with my co-host, Sarah. Whether you're listening on your way to work or while relaxing at home, we are so glad you joined us today.
Hello, everyone. As you just heard, today we are talking about restaurants, money, and specifically a very confusing topic for visitors to the United States, tipping.
Tipping is when you leave extra money for the person who served you. Today, we are going to discuss Sarah's $20 tipping mistake, how to read a complicated American restaurant bill, and the exact polite phrases you can use to avoid paying extra money by accident.
Yes, let us start right there with my embarrassing story. A few years ago, I visited New York. I went to a nice restaurant with a friend. We had a great meal, and the bill came to about $100.
$100 is a pretty normal price for a nice dinner for two people in a big city. So, what happened next?
Well, I knew that in America, you must leave a tip. I read online that 20% is a good amount, so I calculated 20% of $100, which is $20. I put my credit card down, added the $20 tip, and signed the paper. I felt very proud of myself for doing it right.
But I have a feeling you did not do it right. What did you miss?
I missed a very important word on the bill. The next day, I looked at my bank account and I saw a charge for $140 from that restaurant. I was so confused.
Ah, I know exactly what happened here. This is the $20 mistake. Let me guess. Your original bill of $100 already included something called auto-gratuity.
Exactly. But at the time, I did not know what that meant. John, can you explain what auto-gratuity is to our listeners? It is a very strange word.
I would be happy to. Let us break that down. Auto is short for automatic, meaning it happens by itself. Gratuity is just a formal word for a tip. So auto-gratuity means an automatic tip. The restaurant already added the 20% tip to your total bill before they even gave it to you.
So the food was actually about $80. The restaurant automatically added $20 for the tip, making the bill $100. But because I did not understand the word gratuity, I added another $20 on top of that.
Yes, you double tipped. You paid a tip on top of a tip. That is a very generous thing to do, and I'm sure the waiter was very happy. But it is a painful mistake for your wallet. This is something even native English speakers miss sometimes if they are not paying attention.
It is very confusing for tourists. In many countries, the price you see on the menu is the final price you pay. But in America, the bill has so many different numbers. Can we explain the different parts of an American restaurant bill?
That is a great idea. When you receive the piece of paper at the end of your meal, the first number you will usually see is the subtotal. The subtotal is the cost of just the food and drinks you ordered.
Okay, so the subtotal is just the menu prices added together. But then right below that, there's always a line for tax, and the tax is never included in the menu price. This always surprises me.
It is a big surprise for many visitors. In the United States, sales tax is added at the end, and the percentage changes depending on which city and state you're in. So a $10 burger on the menu might actually cost $11 after tax.
So we have the subtotal and then the tax. What comes next?
This is where you have to read carefully. Look for words like gratuity, service charge, or auto-gratuity. If you have a large group, usually 6 or more people, restaurants will almost always add an automatic tip of 18 to 20%. But lately, some restaurants in tourist areas are adding it even for tables of 2, just like in your story.
What if I see a line that says service fee instead of gratuity? Is a service fee the same thing as a tip?
That is a fantastic question, and it is a very controversial topic right now, even for Americans. No, a service fee is not necessarily a tip. Sometimes a restaurant adds a 3 or 5% service fee to cover their own business costs, like paying for their employees' health insurance or credit card processing fees.
So if I see a 5% service fee, does that money go to the waiter?
Usually no, or at least you cannot guarantee it goes to the waiter. If you see a small service fee like 3 or 5%, you're still expected to leave a standard tip of 15 to 20% for the person who served you. But if you see an auto-gratuity of 18 or 20%, that is the tip, and you do not need to add more.
That is a lot to remember. Subtotal, tax, service fees, and gratuity. It makes paying for dinner feel like a math test. What can someone do if they are reading the bill and they feel confused? I was too shy to ask the waiter, which is why I lost $20.
You should never feel shy about asking for clarification when it comes to your money. Waiters are used to answering these questions. Let us give our listeners some polite, simple phrases they can use to ask about the bill.
I love that. Let us say I'm looking at my receipt. I see a charge that I do not understand. Maybe it just says extra fee. How can I politely ask the waiter about it without sounding angry?
The best way is to use an open and polite question. You can say, "Excuse me, could you help me understand this charge?"
Could you help me understand this charge? That is very gentle. It does not sound like you're accusing them of stealing.
Exactly. It shows that you're just asking for information. Another great phrase specifically for tipping is to ask directly if the tip is included. You can say, "Excuse me, does this total include gratuity?"
Does this total include gratuity? That is perfect. What if the waiter says yes, it is included? What should I say?
You can just say, "Thank you. I wanted to make sure." And then you simply pay that total, and you do not add anything extra.
What if the waiter says no, gratuity is not included?
Then you would calculate your tip, usually between 15 and 20% of the subtotal. Write it on the receipt and leave.
Let us talk about another situation where you might need to speak up at a restaurant. Sometimes mistakes happen with the food itself, or you want to change how a dish is prepared to avoid hidden extra costs.
Yes, customizing your order. This is very common in America. People love to change the items on the menu to fit their diet or taste, but sometimes changing an item costs extra money, and they do not always tell you.
Exactly. For example, if I order a salad and I want the dressing in a separate small bowl instead of mixed into the salad, how do I say that naturally?
You would use the phrase "on the side." You can tell the waiter, "I would like the house salad, but can I get the dressing on the side?"
Can I get the dressing on the side? That is very useful. What if a meal comes with French fries, but I want a salad instead?
You would ask to substitute. You can say, "Can I substitute the fries for a side salad?" Or a more casual way is to say, "Can I get a side salad instead of fries?" But here's the important part about money. You should always ask if there is an upcharge.
An upcharge, that means an extra cost, right?
Yes, an upcharge is an additional fee for changing an item to something more expensive. So you should ask, "Can I substitute the fries for a salad? And is there an upcharge for that?"
That is very smart. I have ordered a salad instead of fries before, and when the bill came, I saw a $2 upcharge. It is a small amount, but it is better to know before you order.
Exactly. It is all about clear communication. Let us talk about one more helpful phrase for ordering. What if a sandwich comes with mayonnaise, but you hate mayonnaise and you do not want it on your food?
I would usually say, please do not put mayonnaise on my sandwich. Is there a more natural way to say that?
Yes, a very common American restaurant phrase is to use the word hold. You can say, "I will take the turkey sandwich, but please hold the mayo."
Hold the mayo? That sounds very natural. It means to keep it away from the food.
Exactly. You can use it for anything. Hold the onions, hold the cheese, hold the tomatoes. It is a fast and polite way to tell the kitchen what to leave off your plate.
These phrases are so helpful. Let us quickly review them for our listeners so they can practice.
Good idea. If you want a sauce or an item in a separate dish, you say, "Can I get that on the side?"
If you want to remove an ingredient you do not like, you say, "Please hold the onions" or "Please hold the cheese."
If you want to change one side dish for another, you ask, "Can I substitute the fries for a salad?" And do not forget to ask, "Is there an upcharge for that?"
And most importantly, to avoid the $20 tipping mistake when you receive your bill, look for the words gratuity or service charge.
And if you're confused by any numbers on the receipt, simply point to it and ask, "Excuse me, could you help me understand this charge?" Or, "Does this total include gratuity?"
I wish I had this podcast episode before my first trip to New York. It would have saved me $20 and a lot of confusion.
Well, hopefully it will save our listeners from making the same mistake. Tipping culture can be very strange, even for those of us who grew up with it. The most important thing is to be polite, ask questions when you're not sure, and read your receipt carefully.
That is great advice. Thank you all so much for listening to today's episode. We hope you learned some valuable vocabulary and cultural tips.
If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a comment and let us know about a confusing experience you have had at a restaurant in an English-speaking country. We love reading your stories. Until next time, keep practicing, stay curious, and we will see you in the next episode of the English Vision podcast.